A new era in Islanders hockey begins tonight when the Islanders host the Maple Leafs. The future of the franchise starts now.
You're Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Gil Martin here. Welcome, everybody, to the Thursday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making Locked On the number one sports podcast network. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. We've got a lot to discuss on today's show. A lot of questions. New start, new era in Islanders hockey as Peter DeBoer takes over as coach. We will talk about what to expect, what could go right, what could go wrong. We'll also break down the Islanders playoff odds as of now after having all these days off and no more games in hand for anybody. So we'll talk about that and we'll preview tonight's exciting game against the Toronto Maple Leafs as Peter DeBoer makes his Islanders head coaching debut. A lot of questions out there for the New York Islanders. First, let's start with this. As of right now, of the time of this recording on Thursday evening, we do not know if Tony DeAngelo will be available to play. Peter DeBoer said he was a game time decision, but that he was optimistic that DeAngelo will be ready. No questions about Casey Cizikas. They expect him to be ready. And looks like Ilya Sorokin, no surprise there, especially after the team had Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. No surprise that Sorokin will be the Islanders goalie against the Maple Leafs tonight. No surprise there whatsoever. But what are we going to see tonight? And clearly, Peter DeBoer has done a little bit of work scouting the Islanders. I mean, he was involved in the Team Canada Olympic selection process, so he has looked at some film of the team. I'm sure after speaking to Matthew Darche and accepting the job on Sunday, he's been studying film as well. He's had now 3 days of practice. And what DeBoer has said, and I think it is logical, is that he's not coming in and revamping the entire system. There isn't enough time. 3 days of practice ain't going to get it done, to put it bluntly. You do not have time to install a new system. So what we're going to see for the last 4 games of the regular season, and if there are playoff games, we'll see it in the playoffs, is going to be kind of a hybrid between what Patrick Roy was trying to do and what Peter DeBoer wants this team to do. And I think there will be a bigger emphasis on back checking, on zone exits, 2 things which everydayers are well aware have plagued the New York Islanders for not just this year, but several years. And something that this team really does need to clean up. So I think we will see that, cutting down on those high danger chances, which the Islanders unfortunately have been at or near the bottom all year long in most high danger chances allowed. And, you know, one of the things that has been speculated about is that the fact that Ilya Sorokin was constantly facing so many high danger chances is one of the reasons why Matthew Darche decided to part ways with Patrick Roy. And I can understand that because Sorokin, even now with the rise of Matthew Schaefer, Sorokin is the Islanders' best player. And everydayers will recall after the 1-0 win over Columbus and the 2-1 win over Dallas, I had said, this is the way the Islanders need to play if they want to win hockey games. They have got to be a defense-first team because that plays to their strengths. And I said that before Patrick Roy was let go. I didn't necessarily think a move was coming that quickly. But I think that Matthew Darche and I kind of saw the same problem and felt that it had to be addressed. Now, how quickly it had to be addressed, by whom it had to be addressed, those are things that he had to decide. And his decision was Peter DeBoer in, Patrick Roy out. And I think, obviously, whenever a coach is fired, there is some degree of introspection in the locker room. One thing about this Islanders team, and you can criticize their effort level at times, their talent level at times, you could talk about the shortcomings of this team, but they care, at least to the point where I think all the interviews that I've seen, at least formally, they are saying how they feel badly that things ended for Patrick Roy the way they did. And the question really is going to become, how do they react? Do the Islanders hear Peter DeBoer telling them, guys, we need to be more structured in our own zone. We need to be more structured on the back check, on defense, in the way we clear the puck and transition from defense to offense. We're going to hear that. They hear that. And the question is, do they respond in a positive way? Now, there's obviously pressure. This team is still holding on to slim playoff hopes that they would love to realize, and pretty much they're going to have to run the table and win all 4 games, maybe 3-0-1 with a lot of help. But, even if they run the table, they're going to need some help. But how do they respond? Do they take personal responsibility for the fact that Patrick Roy was fired because they didn't do certain things well enough or consistently enough? Or do they feel like this is a lost cause? That this season is over, there's nothing much they can do about it, and here we are. I don't think we're going to see that second scenario. I think we're going to see a team with a little more dedication and a little more effort, a little more urgency. And it's just a darn shame that it took firing a head coach to even make this a possibility. But usually, not always, but usually, there is a bump when you fire a coach and hire a new coach, because the players want to impress the new coach. And the fact that DeBoer is not just here as an interim coach, he's not just coaching the last 4 games of this year, and then if the Islanders do get into the playoffs, any postseason games that the Islanders play. He's here for 3 more years after this year. So any player who is going to be an Islander in the fall, in 2026, 2027, and beyond, understands that it is necessary to make a good impression on Peter DeBoer, because he's the guy who's going to decide who's in the lineup and who's out of the lineup. And look, a couple of things. We've already heard him talk about how impressed he is by Matthew Schaefer. He has praised Simon Holmstrom's skill and the potential of Max Shabanov, who was in Chateau Bow Wow with Patrick Roy, or at least was not playing very often under Patrick Roy. And again, you have 4 games left. This is an audition, and it's only step 1. But as the old saying goes, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. These players know they have to make a first impression. Now, one other thing, there is a connection here between DeBoer and Bo Horvat, because DeBoer was involved with Team Canada and the selection of the team and involved with the team at the Olympics this year. Bo Horvat played there, so there is at least that bit of familiarity between Horvat and DeBoer. And we'll see if that means that Horvat becomes a little more vocal, or if DeBoer gives him a little bit more trust, perhaps, than he gives some of the other players. And, now it's time. You put up or you shut up, both for how this team is going to finish this season and what first impression you're going to make on the coaching staff. So hopefully there are really two options, three. Things stay the same, which is unlikely given all the changes. The team gets a little bit more urgency because they want to impress the new coach, or the team is a little bit lost because they have to think about the changes that DeBoer puts into the game plan. It doesn't happen automatically. It's not first nature to them yet, and that causes some difficulties. So those are the three options, and I think we may see a combination of the hesitancy and the tentativeness along with the eagerness to prove that they, can make that good first impression. So which one will predominate remains to be seen. Big game. They're all big as long as the Islanders are mathematically alive. This is game 79 out of 82. And the fact that it is still a meaningful game is not something that was expected of this team when the season started. So let's see how they come out as a new era begins for the New York Islanders. We're going to break down the playoff picture for you. The Islanders' odds, not as good as they were certainly before these days off, and not as good as they were before the 4-game losing streak, but we'll break down the situation, what it'll take to get in, who the teams they're fighting are, all that coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Spring is a natural reset point, and if there's one thing that can quietly cost business money, it's messy communications. Missed calls, scattered texts, no clear thread of who said what. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O, the smarter way to run your business communications. Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2 with over 3,000 reviews, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses. It lets your entire team share one business number so you never miss a call, text, or opportunity. And the part that I love, everything lives in one clean thread: calls, texts, voicemail. The whole team sees the conversation so nothing falls through the cracks. And the AI summaries have save serious time by logging calls and highlighting the next steps automatically. It just makes your business feel more organized and responsive. So make this the season that no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/LockedOnNHL. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNHL. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still standing open. When the pressure is on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed, Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for, whether it's skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping that the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the time I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Don't forget to check out the Everydayer Club for ad-free episodes and access to a group chat with me and other listeners of this show. Just tap the link in the show notes or go to lockedonislanders.supercast.com for more information. You look at that playoff picture and it's not pretty right now. And on the one hand, you look at the numbers and you look at the standings and you're like, okay, right now, the Islanders are 3 points out from third place in the Metro and 3 points out from the second wild card. Nobody has any games in hand anymore. So that's the good news. However, the problem for the Islanders is there are 6 teams fighting for 2 playoff spots. Now, the Islanders have 2 ways to get in. They can catch Philadelphia and get in that way. And right now, the Islanders do have the tiebreaker over the Flyers as far as regulation wins are concerned. Islanders right now have 28 regulation wins. The Flyers have 25. So if the Islanders and Flyers finish the season with the same number of points, the Islanders would win the tiebreaker. Ottawa, however, has a big gap in regulation wins as compared to the Islanders. So if we go to the wild card and the Islanders are tied with Ottawa, Ottawa's going to get that spot. Now, the good news is the Islanders play Ottawa Saturday. And if they beat Toronto, that game is huge. So that's an advantage. But it will be very tough because here are the teams you're fighting. We mentioned Philadelphia. They could either get third in the Metro or the wild card. We mentioned Ottawa. They have 92 points. Right now, they are in the second wild card spot. Columbus has 1 fewer regulation win than the Islanders and 1 point more than the Islanders. You got to figure if the Islanders tie Columbus, the Islanders probably maintain that lead in regulation wins. Probably. Gotta go down to the wire with that. Detroit has 1 more regulation win than the Islanders. They're tied in points. 89 points in 78 games. And Washington entered Wednesday night with 87 points, 1 point or 2 points rather behind the Islanders. Well ahead in regulation wins, 33 to the Islanders 28. And they're playing Toronto tonight. So the Islanders don't just have to catch either Ottawa or Philadelphia, but they also have to stay ahead of Columbus, Detroit, and Washington. According to the latest odds, the Islanders have about a 19 or 20% chance of making the playoffs this year. As of now, that number was in the 70s before this 4-game losing streak. There's a big, big difference. Our friends over at FanDuel have the Islanders at plus 400 to make the playoffs. It's not looking easy right now. And I think the key, a couple of things work in the Islanders' favor. First and foremost, every game they're playing the rest of the way is at home. Second of all, Toronto, who they're playing tonight, is going to be coming off a back-to-back, number one, and they're out of it. They are a team that's kind of in disarray and has been struggling. You're going to face Ottawa head-to-head. If you can beat them in regulation, again, that helps you control your own destiny. That's a 4-point game. And then in the season finale, against Carolina, the Hurricanes have already clinched the Metropolitan Division. They are the winners. The only thing they could be fighting for, and we don't know yet whether or not they'll have that wrapped up or not, is home ice advantage throughout the Eastern Conference portion of the playoffs. They could be the number one seed in the East, but if it's wrapped up, either that they're the 1 or the 2, they may not have much to play for. So 4 home games, 1 against a team that already has nothing to play for, 1 against a team that may not have anything to play for, and 1 against a team you're battling head-to-head for one of those final playoff spots. It opens up a lot of possibilities here that the Islanders really could, if they go and win 4 in a row, they don't quite control their own destiny, but they are not out of it just the same. The biggest obstacle, quite honestly, is that this team doesn't play consistently well enough to win 4 games in a row, or at least they haven't been since the Olympic break. And now it is up to the Islanders to go out and show that they want this. They need to earn this. Even if they win all 4 games, they may not get it, but they sure as heck got to leave it all on the table, so to speak. Leave it all out there on the ice, and we'll see how it plays out. We have got more to get to on today's show. We will preview tonight's game against the Maple Leafs, and for our Islanders' birthday of the day, a Toronto native who was with the Islanders briefly in the mid-1980s for parts of 2 seasons. Let's see if you can guess who that is. We've got all that and more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here, where every possession matters, every matchup is magnified, and every game can swing a series. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. You can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. The app makes it easy to follow the action. They've got everything from player stats, trends, and matchups all in one place. And during the playoffs, that extra insight really matters when you're looking at stars, role players, and key moments. It just makes the entire playoff experience more engaging from start to finish. And look, this is the best time of the year. You might as well take advantage of it. So head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. Islanders, Maple Leafs. Finally, it feels like forever since the Islanders have played a hockey game. It's only been, since Saturday. But it really feels like it's been a long time. And by the way, this game is a 6:45 p.m. start. So please be aware of that. It is not starting at the usual time of 7. So 6:45 Islanders, Maple Leafs. And the Leafs, let's face it, this has been a very, very disappointing season for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They are out of the playoffs, mathematically eliminated. They are losing in the second period as I record this to the Washington Capitals 3-0. And yes, the Islanders will have the advantage that Toronto is on a back-to-back while the Islanders are extremely rested. Now, the goalie already has been changed. So Woll got the start. Stolarz replaced him, which leaves it kind of open. I would assume Stolarz gets the start against the Islanders, but it's kind of open, and we'll see. What's been the problem? Well, defense and goaltending have been the bigger problem. The Maple Leafs are 16th in the league in goals scored, but 30th in goals allowed. Their power play is middle of the road, 15th. Their penalty kill is 3rd. So here's a team that gives up a lot of goals 5-on-5, but they're very good on the PK. William Nylander has 73 points in 60 games. He is their leading scorer, followed by Pajama Boy John Tavares with 68 points and 30 goals. Matthew Nyes, 23 goals, 64 points. Austin Matthews out for the year, as we know, after that questionable, dirty hit, let's face it, by Radko Gudas. But that's why he will not be in the lineup. The line combinations for the Toronto Maple Leafs: John Tavares, Easton Cowan, and William Nylander are the top line. Max Domi, Matthew Nyes, and Matthias Maselli are the second trio. Bob Gruhl, Dakota Joshua, and Nicholas Robertson are the third line. And from left to right on the fourth line, Steven Lorenz, Jacob Quillen, and Kalle Jarkrock. Then on the blue line, Brandon Carlo and Jake McCabe are the top pair. Philip Myers and Morgan Riley, the second pair. And then Simone Benoit and Oliver Ekman-Larsson are the third pair. The goalies, Stolars and Woll. So we'll see which one we get. Islanders, they've got to be all in. I think more than anything, they have got to be more in and just play hard and give us 60 minutes. It's the thing they haven't done consistently all year. And this Islanders team should be able to create scoring chances on this Maple Leafs team. And if you didn't get a chance to listen to our bonus episode on Wednesday, we went through all the line combinations that Pete DeBoer is implementing. One thing, and I'm just putting this out there as a hunch. Keep an eye on Simon Holmstrom. He's on the top line. Keep an eye on him. He could have a little boost from this coaching change, but we'll see how it all plays out. Time now for our Islanders birthday of the day. This is a tough one, I admit, but today is the 66th birthday of former Islanders forward Scott Howson. The Toronto native, 5'11", 160 pounds, was not drafted, although he was outstanding for the Kingston Canadians of the OHL, had 140 points his last year there. Ended up being in the Islanders system and played in a grand total of 18 games for the Islanders, 5 goals, 8 points, 4 penalty minutes. That's in 84-85, 8 games, 10 games in 85-86. And those were his complete NHL totals. His best game as an Islander, no doubt about it, January 22nd, 1985, Islanders hosting the Red Wings at the Old Barn. Corrado Miaclef, the goalie for Detroit, Billy Smith in between the pipes for your Islanders. And in this game, Scott Howson, our Islanders birthday of the day, opens the scoring in the first period. Dave Langevin, the only assist. And, you know, let's face it, that was, for Scott Howson, his first career NHL goal. Always a big moment for any player. And Howson scored again in the third period in a goal that put the Islanders up 4-3. Bob Nystrom had the assist, but the Islanders could not hold the lead. Late goals in this game by Reed Larson and John Ogrodnik give Detroit a 5-4 win. But for Scott Howson, our Islanders birthday of the day, he had 2 goals. He was a +1. He had 2 shots on goal and scored on both of them. And these were his first 2 goals in the National Hockey League. 25 saves for Billy Smith in a losing effort. Both teams had 30 shots on goal in this game. So Scott Howson is our Islanders birthday of the day. If you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, email us at lockedonislanders@gmail.com. If you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we discuss whatever's on your mind. You could follow the show on X at Locked On Isles. You could follow me, Gil Martin, on X at Ice Wars, NYR vs NYI. We'll keep you up to date on all things Islanders all year long, and I am live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game. So join me for a little instant insight and analysis, and it's great to talk Islanders hockey with you, game time or anytime. And don't forget to check out the Everydayer Club. You'll get ad-free episodes of Locked On Islanders and access to a group chat with me and other listeners of this show. You'll also get access to the Locked On NHL league-wide group chat. So tap the link in the show notes or head on over to lockedonislanders.supercast.com for more information. Everydayers, we are back tomorrow. I want to thank you first for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Tomorrow we'll have a bonus episode, and, well, we will have our key takeaways from the Islanders game against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and we'll preview both of this weekend's games against Ottawa and Montreal as the season starts to wind down, and hopefully both of those games will be meaningful. Until then, have a great day, everybody. Stay safe, and of course, let's go Islanders.